Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's second video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days for today's second video. This will take us to around the 26th of February, so we're going towards the closing stages of February with week 10 day video updates. Now, we've just released weekend forecast, and we're going to be seeing plenty of dry and mild weather coming up in the week ahead. In fact, in around a week's time, we could get some unusually very mild or even warm temperatures. So next weekend could be one to watch. We might see the temperature going up into the mid to possibly upper teens Celsius. Have a look at weekend forecast and see what's going on there. This is going to extend out beyond the week ahead time frame, and we're going to have a look at whether next week, 10 days, and also next couple of weeks with the extended GFS and also the ECM Ensemble. So have a look at CFS V2 for next month as well. Talking of the CFS, we've got CFS 6-month look coming up tonight. It's just for fun, just for a laugh. It's going to take us from next month, from March, through to the summer. So that'll be with you around 6 o'clock this evening, something like that. But we're going to start off this week's 10-day video update having a look at the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from the Penn State University. We've got the ECMWF here on the top, and the GFS, which have a really good look at in a moment, is on the bottom. 500 millibars, and feet is an area in the actual high pressure, low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. Red extrapolates to high pressure, above average heights. High pressure blue extrapolates to below average heights, low pressure. Look what the ECMWF is doing in the next 7 to 10 day time frame. It's got this large ridge area of above average heights centered over and to the east and south of the country, with a deep trough of low pressure, deep trough of below average heights in the middle of the Atlantic. So we've got a large ridge of above average heights centering over to the south and east of the UK, with below average heights in the middle of the Atlantic. That's going to squeeze the isobars like that, so the wind will be coming up from a southerly to southwesterly direction. This looks mainly dry, but potentially very mild, with winds coming from southern climes, coming out of the central Atlantic, maybe from the Mediterranean and North Africa too. So that could allow temperatures to really lift up in the 7 to 10 day time frame. The GFS is very similar. So again, we've got this deep area below average heights in the middle of the Atlantic with the GFS. Then we have this ridge of above average heights over and to the east of the UK. Again, we're squeezing the winds up from a long way south with jet stream going like that. So we can expect mainly dry conditions, but also very, very mild conditions are likely as well. In fact, you would say potentially quite warm conditions as we're going into the 7 to 10 day time frame. GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles are looking like this. We're looking at the town of Beef today in the southwest of Scotland, 20 miles southwest of Glasgow. So the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Beef. And by the way, this is another suggested location for this section of the video. And if you'd like to have your local town or city featured in this part of the daily weather videos, then do let us know where you'd like to see featured next. We'll add you to the list. We're going through the list now, so we'll need a few more places for around a couple of weeks' time. So this is how the upper air temperatures are at the moment in Beef, quite warm, but they're going to be dropping in the next couple of days. Going to go a bit cooler as we get through to the end of the weekend and the start of next week, but only briefly. And through the middle part of next week, the temperature is already taking off, and we're going to go into a very mild, if not quite warm spell of weather yet again as we go through the second half next week and into next weekend. This mild weather looks like it's going to carry us out through to the end of the month, really. So the dates are on the bottom of the chart. That's going from the end of February into the start of March. Through the first week of March, there is a decline in the temperature that is evident. This is the early part of March, of course. There's a decline in the temperature that is evident. There's a few ensemble members that are going really quite cold. They are not particularly well supported, but it does look as though the first week of March might see the temperature becoming somewhat cooler. Let's say that, somewhat cooler through the first week of March, even if not particularly cold, but temperature might cool down a bit from that very mild or even quite warm end to February. Precipitation-wise, quite interesting. This is the southwest of Scotland, of course, so it's one of the wettest places in the country. And we do see a lot of precipitation spikes coming through. So mainly dry there for the next day or so. But really from the start of next week onwards and then through to the end of February and start of March, it does look quite unsettled. It looks quite wet with regular precipitation spikes. This is not going to be particularly representative of the rest of the UK, though. It's just telling us that in very limited and specific areas like the west of Scotland, probably like the north and west of Northern Ireland, southwestern parts of Scotland, probably some southern western parts of the Republic of Ireland as well, where we are exposed to these really moist and warm southerly to southwesterly winds. In those areas, there is quite a bit of potential for some really quite extensive rainfall, some heavy rainfall potentially, in those very limited and specific areas, but not particularly representative of the rest of the country. So, the matter of saying is the ensemble for beef, which is in the southwest of Scotland. But let's have a look at where we was looking with the ensembles yesterday at Leinster. So we'll go there next and just see how much drier this is looking at Leinster. So all of those precipitation spikes suddenly disappear. Yes, there are a few precipitation spikes that are evident, one around there, a few there, maybe getting a little bit more frequent towards the very end of the month and the start of March as well, around this period just here. But that is a much drier ensemble graph for Leinster compared to beef in the southwest of Scotland. And it does tell us that rainfall will be occurring in the next couple of weeks with these warm and moist southerly southwesterly winds, but only in very limited and very specific areas, and most places are probably actually going to finish up really dry in the next week or two as well. This is in Herefordshire, I think, Leinster, so it's down there in the Midlands, much further inland, not exposed to the Irish Sea and to the Atlantic, and so there it's looking a lot drier, and that is going to be more representative, I think, of the conditions many of us will be experiencing in the next week to 10 days. Again, interestingly for Leinster, we do see a bit of a suggestion of a drop in temperature as we're going into the very end of February, more likely the first week of March. There is a bit of a suggestion of a cool down, no more than that at the moment, but a cool down taking place through the first week of March. Temperature anomalies for the next week from the 16th to the 24th of February, coming out warmer than average, above average temperature anomalies, not just for the UK and Ireland, but for all parts of Europe as well. It really is a very mild scene across all parts of Europe and even into like western and even central parts of Russia. This is a very extensive spell of above average temperatures across Eurasia in the week ahead. Precipitation anomalies from the 16th to 24th February, a lot drier than average, except in those specific areas. So again, you can see that we've got these blue colours here across northern and western and southern parts of Ireland, so it'll be quite wet there with these southwesterly to southerly winds. Western Scotland also potentially quite wet. Southwestern Scotland looks rather unsettled as well, but on the eastern side, so for eastern Scotland, eastern England, much of England and Wales, dry or very dry in the week ahead. This is how the GFS is looking for Tuesday. It's all covered by weekend forecast, of course. So on Tuesday, we're bringing low pressure in off the Atlantic. That could turn things quite wet in northern and western parts of the country. But through Wednesday and Thursday, that low pressure gets out of the way. Heights rising from the south. And as we go through the course of the second half of the coming week, we're going to find high pressure taking over. So it's going to turn mainly dry and very mild too. We're bringing those winds up from the south. So again, I think we'll be looking at temperatures going into mid-teens Celsius by the end of the coming week. Southerly winds across Ireland and the far west of Scotland will bring some outbreaks of rain there. Otherwise, mostly dry conditions. Into next weekend, high pressure is increasingly dominant. Look at that. That chart would not look out of place in the middle of last summer. That's the kind of charts we were seeing back in June and July, with that large ridge of high pressure covering most parts of Central Europe. We're on the warm side of the ridge, so the warm side is on this side of the ridge. That's where we pull the winds up from the south. The cold side of the ridge, of course, is always on the eastern side of the high pressure, so down across eastern parts of Europe, around the Black Sea, in towards Greece and Turkey. That's where we're on the cold side of the high pressure, and we're pulling cold air probably down from Russia through there. But we're on the warm side of the ridge. We're dragging up the air from a very long way south. If you follow the isobars back, you can see that the air is originating from down here somewhere around Spain, Portugal, probably even further southwards of that, and it's wafting up around the top of the high pressure, and we could see the temperature lifting up big time through next weekend. I won't say we'll break records next weekend, but this is the kind of pattern where if we was going to get a record-breakingly warm spell of February weather, it's a kind of pattern that would achieve it. So let's say no more than that and see how things develop over the next few days. Heading up towards day 10, again, high pressure continues to be in control. It's just starting to inch out a little bit more to the west of the UK, so starting to pull down some cooler air into northern parts of the country by day 10, 26th of February. As we go to more extended range, this is how we look, gradually trying to turn a bit more unsettled. High pressure increasingly pulling out into towards the middle of the Atlantic, so starting to pull down these cooler winds from the northwest by Monday the 4th of March, which is as far out as we can go with the GFS. Not cold, but certainly cooler air moving in from the northern Atlantic Ocean. That was the GFS operational run. This is the GFS parallel. Again, we see heights rising from the south through the course of the coming weeks. That's how we finish up by Friday, with high pressure dominant across France. It's ridging up towards Scandinavia too. The rain-bearing southwesterly winds are pushed out to the far west and northwest of the UK. That's how things look in a week's time. Next weekend still has that high pressure centering over Central Europe. We're on the warm side of the high. We're bringing the wind up from a southerly to southeasterly direction. The only thing with this is that wind is slightly more tilted towards the southeast. So you remember that for next weekend with the GFS operational run, the wind is like coming up direct southerly and with a bit of southwesterly mixed in too. So that's going to be very warm. The parallel GFS run just has the wind tilted slightly into the southeast, and so the air is actually coming from around that kind of area. So some northern parts of Italy and down towards the Adriatic and in towards that kind of area, Hungary, those sort of areas where the air is kind of like originating from with that one. So it's more of a continental flow, which means that there is less potential for really warm temperatures, I would have thought, with a parallel. It's only a very subtle difference, but at this time of year, a southerly or a southeast is quite an important difference in wind direction. So that's more continental, probably a little bit cooler, but still a very, very mild and pleasant spell of weather. All that said, up to day 10, high pressure remains in control, so obviously it could be really, really dry as well in the next week to 10-day time frame, except in those specific areas exposed to those moist southerly southwesterly winds. We've gone beyond day 10 now. High pressure continues to be in control until the very end of the parallel GFS run, where it breaks down and allows low pressure to start heading from off the Atlantic. So again, it's another idea, but through this first week of March, as far as we can go, Monday the 4th of March, just this idea that through the first week of March, possibly more unsettled and possibly cooler as well, as we lose this big ridge from central parts of Europe. But this is all very extended range stuff, so it's really very much in the unreliable time frame. ECMWF, again, the heights are rising from the south as we're going through the course of next week, so becoming increasingly dry and warm through to next weekend. That's how we're looking at high pressure well and truly in control of the weather into next weekend. It stays in control up towards day 10 as well. Always more unsettled for northern and western parts of Scotland, exposed to these southwesterly winds, bringing some rain and moist air off the Atlantic at times. But for England and Wales, this looks like a really classic spell of winter warm weather. This looks like a bit of a winter heat wave, I have to say, with temperatures potentially into the mid to upper teens Celsius. Really quite unusual, but not unheard of. This does happen at times. So these are how the ECM ensembles are looking through the postage stamps from the Icelandic Met Office. This is how the scenarios are playing out at day 10, which is the 26th of February, 240 hours. We have 18 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure over to the south of the UK. And so these are a little bit more unsettled for the north. There's a bit of low pressure up to the north, influenced from the jet stream up there. But they're bringing cloud and rain to northwestern parts of the country. But for England and Wales, mainly dry and you would have thought warm as well. Then there's 17 members of the ECM ensembles that have high pressure centred almost over the top of the country, so obviously they're going to be very dry and very settled, quite mild or warm as well. And then we've got 16 ensemble members, including that operational run from the ECM that was just looking at, but at day 10, 26th of February, has a high pressure more centred to the east and southeast of the country. So these are dragging up really mild, if not warm air from a southerly to southwesterly direction. Pretty much all members of the ECM ensembles at day 10 have high pressure dominating and looking really mild, if not warm as well. Now, as we go out to 2 weeks away, they are suggesting a bit of a change with the ECM ensembles. This is 360 hours. The 3rd of March, and what we see then is that we've got 21 ensemble members with a weak area of above average heights to the south, but low pressure is developing, below average heights, low pressure is developing in the Atlantic and also to the northeast of the UK, and so this just looks to be turning much more unsettled. We're bringing the jet stream back, and that will be turning a lot more unsettled through the first week of March. Then there's 16 ensemble members that have low pressure in the Atlantic, a very deep area of low pressure in the Atlantic, but high pressure is still clinging on over and to the east of the UK. So that's still an anticyclonic influence. And then there's another 14, including the control run of the ECM ensembles, that do look very unsettled indeed. They have low pressure, very deep area of low pressure just out to the west of the UK and Ireland. They're bringing the jet stream in like that. So they look really unsettled with those ensemble members. I think there is a suggestion here of a change in the weather pattern through the first week of March. Between the GFS and the ECM ensembles, it does look as though the first week of March could turn quite a lot more unsettled and quite a bit cooler as well. But it's all very extended range stuff. It's a couple of weeks away. Finally, CFS V2. These are the 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods. The first week period takes us from the 16th to the 22nd of February. The coming week is dominated by high pressure sitting over to the east of the country, low pressures in the Atlantic. We're drawing up these very mild, if not warm, southerly winds. So you can see what's going on there, high and dry in the week ahead. And this goes on into week 2 as well. This is the 23rd of February through to the 1st of March, again with above average heights, high pressure centred over to the east and south of the country, below average heights in the middle of the Atlantic, pulling the winds up from a long way south, moving them into northern Europe. So dry and very mild, or even potentially at times warm conditions through the final couple of weeks of February. Signs of a change in week 3. This is the first week of March. Takes us from the 2nd through to the 8th of March, with the above average heights moving down into southern parts of Europe, below average heights returning to the north and west of the country. And so this is bringing the jet stream back. It's turning more unsettled. It may be transitional, so it might be that it starts off reasonably dry, but eventually that will be turning things more unsettled through the first week of March. And then we finish up actually looking very unsettled. This is week 4. It's the 9th to the 15th of March, with a deep trough of below average heights parked over the top of the UK, and that really would be all changed compared to February. That would be a lot more unsettled and probably quite cool as well, because the jet stream will be going something like that. We'd be bringing the air in from the North Atlantic, from like Greenland, and so not only is that a lot more unsettled, it's also a lot cooler as well. Wouldn't necessarily say cold with that, because there's no block to force true Arctic air into the trough, but it would certainly be a lot cooler. It would certainly be a lot more unsettled. So maybe March is going to yield a change, and we're going to something rather cooler and rather more unsettled. But before that, it looks like the rest of February is going to be dominated by high pressure, and away from those very limited and specific areas that might be quite wet from those moist southwesterly winds, it looks like it could be very dry for the rest of February. And those temperatures could be a talking point in around a week's time, when we could get some unusually warm weather for winter moving up from southern Europe and the middle of the Atlantic. More on that in the days ahead, I'm sure, but that's all for now. We'll be back this evening with the CFS 6 o'clock, so come back for that then. Don't forget to check out Weekend Forecast if you haven't yet done so. Tomorrow we're going to start off with some more spring analogues. We'll have the Aswell Sunday roundup, and I think we'll have the ECMWF and Metro France seasonal model update as well tomorrow. That will take us into the summer. Maybe an Ensembles watch, but we might be pushing it to get that in. Right, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.